Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 44th episode of Tales of Tamriel. I am Aggelos, your gold farming host. That's right. And with me this afternoon, she who's just vendoring everything to make money. Thais, how are you doing, my dear?
I'm good. I'm really good.
How many stacks of mats have you just vendor trashed?
Um, dozens,
Does
dozens and dozens.
that's
Four
sad.
hundred gold a stack.
Yeah, but you can make more off of it if you sell it on a guild store.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It
No,
does.
no, it doesn't.
It does
I can put up
work.
3 stacks of mats. One stack in one of my
hmm
guilds, another stack in another,
hmm
third stack in the last one. None of them will sell.
How much do you sell them for?
Whatever they're going for,
You gotta
How do you
undercut them
know?
peeps. Undercut,
How do you
baby.
know how much they're going for?
because I search the stores to
Oh,
see.
or do you use any specific add-on for that?
Nope.
Maybe it would help.
No, maybe not. It definitely won't.
I don't know about you, but I sell quite a bit on guild stores.
Good for you. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'll just keep vendoring my stuff.
You know what? Start sending it to me, and I will give you the 400 you would get, and I'll keep the excess.
No, no, you can't get profit off of me.
Why?
No,
You're just vendoring it anyway.
it doesn't matter. It's the principle.
All right. See, I was trying to help you out there, but I see how it goes. All right. Also joining us, the newest Boethius scythe out there, the man running the stream, Deltia of Deltia's Gaming. How are you today, good sir?
It's a good day to be alive, baby.
I bet it is. I bet it is.
Yep, I'm excited to be here after beating Dragonstar Arena. It may or may not be nerfed, I don't know. But I don't care. I beat the dang thing and I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, we got some news to get into, and then a lively discussion topic. Hint, 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 hint. DSA to go over, as well as our gameplay for this week. And hello, little Khajiit. How are you? Yes, you're cute. All right. She's gone now?
She's good.
Oh, poor thing. All right, let's get rolling. First up in game news. You know what? Let's go ahead and we're going to do the Battlemaster corner first. Why? Because I want to. Battlemaster's corner, Fallen Shield of Merida. Got a little bit of a lore up in there. So, looks like we got a little tank bar, which is kind of neat. Delty, did you see this build?
I did. Yep.
All right. What are your first thoughts on it?
It's another person trying to split roles, and while that might be fun, kind of, pugging around or soloing or stuff like that, it's just not an effective way to play the high end level. Now, if you want to do what you want to do, by all means, don't let me tell you, how to play your game. But if you're trying to really beat stuff, there's really not a lot of places for a healer slash tank. You really need to be one or the other. Commit fully to that role and do your job. If there's one thing I learned this week being Dragonstar Arena, do your job. Don't try to think outside the box. Don't try to do anything crazy. Do your job. Do it well. They'll be all right. And I think that this build uses a lot of good abilities, but if you're being a tank, you really need to manage your resources and block, thus using stamina to block. If you're going to be a caster, you need to cast spells, like Healing Springs, Rapid Regeneration. You need to use magic. Extending yourself over 2 abilities and 2 resources is going to tax you and your teammates. And ultimately, it's going to prevent you from, maybe being successful on the highest level, but it just ultimately depends on what they're trying to do. If they're trying to have fun, dink around and that sort of thing, this could work for you. If you're trying to, set the world on fire in trials, probably not so much. So, yeah, just my 2 cents on it. I make it go over all the skills and that sort of thing. It's just another person trying to, thinking outside the box, which is good, but at the same point, stick to what you're good at. Be a tank, be a healer, have it that way.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to jump in on here real quick because they did write down here at the very bottom that this is more of an end game build.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
what they wrote.
I'll pick it apart then.
Yeah. My before Delty gets into it, I just want to mention something here real quick. First off, they are a Breton vampire Templar. As much of an oxymoron
Vampire
as that
Templar.
is. Yeah, I know.
Okay. Okay.
Full light armor. Okay.
As a
Now,
Templar
now
tank.
here's the problem. I know Delta, you and I, we talked about this early in the game. That was kind of like the thing to be. Now, one of the strengths of being a Templar is like what is the ground ability? Why can I not remember? Like I
You're
cannot
rune
remember the name.
focused.
Rune focus. Thank you. To get your armor up there, because as a tank, you need fairly high armor to avoid all that stuff. He does not have this on his bar. How is he taking hits?
Not to mention that rune focus also has a morph that regenerates magic, thus eliminating the need for light armor.
But he has none of that. So right now he's light armor, but he has the rune focus. I don't think is a replacement for heavy armor, but it's good enough to pretty much hit you into overcharge in most cases, especially wearing lighter. So you may be able to get away with it. It's a really good spell, especially for tanking, and but he doesn't have it on this bar at all. So he's being a tank, as you said, splitting his stats into magicka, and it looks like his attributes are all in health. So it's health magicka. So where's his blocking? Because he's not getting raw mitigation from armor, and there's no spells that I see that increase armor.
And
so
he's not getting any defensives from the 5-piece heavy tree, which reduces blocking cost mitigation.
Yeah. So that's the major thing I see with this. I as a Templar, and I may be wrong on this, I think because of that one ability, light, medium armor, tanking, I will say is better than other classes because of that one ability, because it does give you like 1.2k armor and spell resist, so that's really awesome. But if you don't have it on your bar, you're not getting that benefit.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, how are we going to define end game? Is it I'm going to tank Serpent Trials? Is it I want to do dungeons? Like what is it? I mean, because if end game is just dinking around and doing dungeons, yeah, you can make this work. You're going to get one shot, and people will laugh at you in Serpent Trials. Believe me, I've done it. I've done it. I've been that guy. I know. So it just depends on what your end game is. You can't split roles. I'm sorry. In the super high end content, I've tried it. You know how I failed? I'm blocking, right? Sword and shield, getting all my mitigation. I swap weapons. I'm with a resto staff. Dupe. I lost all my mitigation. Boom, dead. You can't do it. You can't do it. It maybe, someone will prove me wrong, I'm sure, but double sword and board is where it's at for a tank. Double resto staff is actually where it's at for a magic user. Pick one.
It's
and one more choice. The repentance. Like, I love repentance, right? I mean, I made a build on it and everything, and oh my god, it's great. It's a free heal. It looks cool. Fine dandy. It's great for soloing. It really is. Why? Because you don't have to heal with magic. You can use your magic and stamina for abilities and self-heal with corpses, because there's always going to be corpses around. High-end content, end game, quote-unquote, there's not a whole lot of corpses sometimes. And Radiant Aura, the other morph, gives your entire party 80% stamina regeneration. Entire party, including you. That's just bananas. That's huge. That's ridiculous. I don't care if they're magic builder, do whatever. You need stamina in this game, and that makes or breaks a team. It's one morph change that I would highly recommend. But I will say, it's hard putting yourself out there in your build. So I appreciate this person, at least submitting the build, because I know what it's like to get banged on for your build. So, at least you put it out there and took some time to write it up. So I do appreciate that.
And I'm fine with this as well when you do that. But my major complaint with the build is they said this is an end game build.
Yeah.
And I know we like to talk about what constitutes end game, but I'm gonna be very frank. There is no thing that constitutes end game. It's really one thing. Whether your end game is PvP, fine. It's Cyrodiil. That's trying to go for Emperor as your end game.
Yeah.
If you're doing PvE end game, dinking around at dungeons is not end game. DSA and trials are end game. That is the PvE end game. Now, if in terms of solo end game, go solo and do the gold content. That's a solo end game. But even in the beginning of this, he talks about having a healer friend or, grabbing 3 of your best friends. So automatically you're taking away the solo end game from ESO. You're doing group content, and dinking around in normal dungeons is not end game content. Veteran dungeons and vet DSA and trials is end game PvE content. And this is coming from a guy who's been rocking the 2-hander since the game starts, so I know all about bad builds.
But at least you stick with stamina.
Yeah, no, I stick with it, and that's what I roll with. Um, you know, early in the game, yeah, no, my two-handed absolutely was not viable in trials, and I knew this going into it, and I sat back and I'm praying for the day that it is. Um, but it's still a matter of this. It is from the ground up is flawed when you're talking about end game builds. It just it is. It's flawed,
Yeah.
especially in tanking. If this were a healer slash maybe DPS, maybe not. You know, Destro Staff Templar, the light arm would be great, but without that, the ability for the spell and armor, you're not a tank. You'll die as soon as you run out of stamina, and you have no stamina, so you will die after a few blocks.
Yep. But, you know.
So, Face, did you have anything you want to say about this?
Nope.
No.
She loves theory. She loves her
She
theory
loves
crafting.
theory crafting. Oh, it's her favorite thing.
It is.
Min-maxing theory crafting.
Oh,
I
just
do
sitting
it
out
all
beating
day,
trolls.
every day.
Every day.
Every day. Is that what you really went there?
I did.
You
I
went
did.
there.
I did.
See, you
Well,
sit out. You sit out in the rift and like beat on trolls like I do for endless hours to see what ability's better.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, that's
All
fine.
the time.
I would see you out there, but you're a filthy EP, so.
No. We're not the filthy one. You are.
I'm a dirty elf.
Yes. Gross.
Might as well be. All right, we're going to move on to the next bit of news, which is the Tamriel Chronicle Issue number 74. Now, I wanted to cover these, and this one in particular I wanted to cover because they're doing something different now. They are changing how this works. The Tamriel Chronicle will no longer contain podcasts, videos, and fan site articles.
Boo.
Yeah, they're doing a new article series. I guess they're going to do this on a weekly base or an alternating bi-weekly. So the Tamriel Chronicle has now removed all podcast videos and fan site stuff. And this is specifically only going to do unique fan creations such as fan art. ESO Live apparently is still on here.
It doesn't say that they're removing it completely.
No, they're changing to a different. The Tamriel Chronicle will now only contain fan art and like music and role play events.
Oh, okay, I see.
They're going to come out with a new article on the alternating weeks, I guess, that will cover all the podcasts.
Really? So they're not just changing the format to.
Yeah. Tamriel Chronicle will now continue only doing fan art, fiction, and player run events. And the next article will now cover podcast videos and fan site articles. So whenever we do Tamriel Chronicle stuff, it will only talk about upcoming events in game held by players, as well as other stuff like fan art and like fan music. Because like this week, there's another one from Armin Gutierrez. Yes, he was on ESO Live. He did another musical piece called Mystical Woods, and of course, there's a bunch of fan art. I would go over all of this stuff, but all of it was covered in ESO Live. Every single piece that I've seen in here. So if you watched ESO Live episode 6, there's really no reason to go over it now. So, but I did want to highlight that if you are looking for podcasts and videos, they will no longer be on the Tamriel Chronicle. They will be on whatever their new thing is. Thais, what do you think about that?
I really wish I could draw. I really do. That is one skill that I do not possess. My skills in drawing involve stick figures.
Ah, me too. I see. Deltia, what about you? Do you like the idea that they split everything out? Or
Yeah,
no?
I do like that. I think that the fan creations, like the artistic style, having its own spotlight is probably a good thing, and separating those two out for those that it's kind of a different crowd sometimes. Now they obviously intermix, but I think it's good to give them their own spotlight. And there's a lot of people doing really cool stuff that isn't builds or that's not YouTube videos. It's just art, and they're excited about the game in a different way. So great.
I am actually not happy with the fact that they're splitting them up. It should stay the Tamriel Chronicle, but it should alternate. Like, it should stay Tamriel Chronicle, but it should alternate. This week is fan creations, and then this week is podcasts and websites, and then go back to fan creations and then just to switch it back and forth. They shouldn't have to create a whole new name of something just to separate the two.
Why?
Well, why does it need its own name?
Well, because the purpose is that it can identify those people that want specifically art information or RP or something like that. So giving it its own name might attract more people towards that type of style.
I don't know. I just think it's useless. It's too much. Too much.
Okay.
Hey, as long as we're still in there.
Well, we're not in this episode.
I know, but as long as we're still in the other stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
My 3,000 videos I've been making.
Right. All right. We'll move on to the next bit, which is another guild spotlight, which is the hunting blades. Seems like a fairly casual guild. I was looking over it a little bit earlier, and even from the description, the guy's like, I never really intended to start my own guild. But he evidently did during beta, and now a bunch of the people stuck around, so...
Ew, but they're 80.
Yeah. The one thing that's kind of interesting is I guess most of their members are from Australia and New Zealand. So, I mean, for those Oceanic players, it might be good if you need people to chat with. But judging by what they're actually talking about, it doesn't look like they do a whole lot. I guess they're going to move into trials for high-level members. Maybe they'll do some sort of event there. But otherwise, yeah, there we go. Nothing special. Sorry, guys.
Hey, their guild is special. Leave them alone.
Special little snowflake. Gotcha. They are a special little snowflake.
Is that snowflake that's like split in half?
I don't know.
Why do you guys gotta troll other people's guilds? Leave their guild alone.
I'm trolling.
You're such a troll.
I am. I am trolling. That's fine.
I see. I can fix my little troll and say that they have the best accents, probably. Since I'm all about the British, the Kiwi, the Australian, it works for me.
The kiwi? That's a dang fruit. That ain't an accent.
The New Zealanders, the Kiwis.
Kiwis? What is? Can we go to the next topic?
Yeah, we're gonna move on to that.
Do you really not know that New Zealanders are called Kiwis?
Never heard that before in my life.
Are you serious? Oh, that's a shame. You're a horrible person. Kiwis, I love you very much.
Kiwis, I love eating you. Just gonna throw that out there.
That's how it goes. I've been down there already.
Hey, I don't want to know where you've been down.
Yeah, I've been down under.
That's for a different podcast.
Wow. All right.
ERP, baby.
Tamriel after dark. All right. Well, now that we got the community stuff out of the way, it's time to talk about
what?
Some other stuff.
What? Or is this the discussion topic?
No, not yet.
Oh, man.
ESO patch 1.5.6 dropped, and I'm going to give a little excerpt here. But it's an incremental patch that's addressed issues with Cyrodiil and a number of quests. We've also adjusted the health and power of monsters in dungeons scaled to at least VR1. That we'll talk about. And have many audio fixes and improvements that we'd love to get your feedback on. That's part one, as my browser completely freezes. Okay. Poor ZeniMax just can't seem to catch a break. Because for an incremental patch, the first note was that it was over 6 gigs in size. And then it was over 12 gigs in size. That's a big patch. And actually, they told us throughout the week that it was another error on their side with the patcher that essentially caused us to re-download all the audio files again. So that's why it took so long. So for such a small patch, I guess I shouldn't say small because they did update a bunch of audio, which I will get on in a second. They updated a bunch of audio and then caused us to download all the audio that had already been done that they didn't even touch. So I know Thais, you were over there going, I swear I patched. And I had mine running for a while. I know our friend Kipster in the guild messaged me going, I guess he was out on his job and just trying to use his phone. He's like, how big's the patch? I'm like, it's like currently 12 gigs. So he's like, I guess I'm not playing that tonight. Deltia, did you download all 12 gigs of this?
Well, of course I did. I had to be one of the first on, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it didn't really affect me at all. I mean, just went and did my other stuff around the house, and I tweeted to them. I go, "Thanks for giving me a break from the game, so I can like get caught up on housework." And yeah, it wasn't a big deal for those with bad internet. I can imagine it's frustrating, but didn't affect me.
Yeah, for us it was several hours, and I'm talking like upwards of 12, 13 hours to
Wow.
download. So that was a we're not playing today kind of thing.
That sucks.
Yeah. But on top of that, which is a little bit of a lighter note, but also a little bit of a negative note, the great audio debacle of 2014. Because apparently, and this is what I thought was kind of funny, if you search the forums, they actually posted an audio file that they made into a ringtone because they accidentally, when they released one of the audio files, I don't know if it was messed up or whatever, but whenever you would run out of a resource, the sound that played was the most annoying sound you've ever heard in your life.
Don't, yeah.
Yeah. So, in general Zoss humor, they actually made it a ringtone and put it out on a Google Drive for people to download. But they hotfixed that pretty quickly because all I saw on Reddit in the official forums was, "Oh my goodness, please revert it back." Because this sound is so annoying. Did you hear that little sound bit there, Deltia?
Oh, of course I did, but I didn't overreact like everyone else. I mean, come on, just turn the volume down and get over it. It's a bug. God. Sick of these people freaking out about little things. I mean, it does make me mad at some point. Like, I get it. You try to develop something this big and this complex and never make a mistake. We're human, people. We're human. Get over it. Go on the internet and we'll read some of these comments these people make. It's idiotic. The hate that fills these people. I mean, get over it, dude. It's a game. Settle down. They made a mistake. It's going to get fixed. I mean, go to your job. Have you never screwed something up? You have. Believe me, everyone has. I get sick and tired of all this negativity over some little thing. It's a sound. Turn it down. It's okay. Relax.
Don't you know that 95% of the world is perfect and that no one ever makes mistakes?
But
How
they're quick
dare
to
these game people make mistakes?
they're quick to point out your mistakes, but when they make one, they don't man up and admit it. And believe me, I make plenty of mistakes, and I'm making one now, probably ranting about this, but I don't care. I get sick of it. I mean, yes, this game is maybe a little bit more buggy than everyone else. How'd World of Warcraft launch do? They have any bugs? How'd Dragon Age launch go? Did that have any bugs? Right?
Lots of bugs.
Right. It's an enormous have 600 billion lines of zeros and ones and tell me something's not getting screwed up. Settle down.
Settle down there. Settle down. Now, okay. No, I agree with you.
I agree with Deltia.
Now I must bring this up. This is the second patch in a row that they've had patcher errors. Like, I don't think, even from my side of view, that it would be a big deal. I understand issues with that, but this is the second time that their patcher has caused an issue in a row.
Yeah, that is
That's
concerning.
A technical problem that I think they need to start working on. That should be priority, because I understand one time, okay, whatever, if it happened a couple times, over a period of a couple patches, but this is the second in a row where their patcher has malfunctioned.
It's probably just they need to pay a little more attention to detail and go through a couple more checks. I don't know how that IT stuff works, but I know I've made my share of mistakes in anything, whether it's editing, whether it's writing, whether it's whatever. It's sometimes you get lackadaisical and just kind of skim over the details, and we all do. But that's where leadership comes into play and making sure things are laser focused, ready to go.
They seem to have an issue with the word you chose.
Oh yes, I did.
Which word?
What? Lackadaisical?
Lackadaisical, yeah, you relax. Like you're not really that in tune with stuff.
Is that really a word?
I do believe
not.
Lackadaisical is a word.
She's got to look it up now. All right.
Oh,
well,
another internet troll.
He gets in on that. We're going to move on to the next little bit, but I did want to mention that, and I actually wanted to express my concerns with that, because I've seen patch errors before. It's happened. But 2 in a row, after you make one mistake like that, like the last one, which was, we'll say it was a fairly big mistake patch-wise, you think you would have paid a little more attention this time around just to make sure, this didn't happen again, yet it did. So, ZeniMax, please pay attention to your patch, or maybe put a little extra love into that. Check what's going on.
Just put a sticky note.
Faith in mankind.
Why?
Because it's an actual word.
It's a good word.
That is a terrible word.
Lackadaisical fit exactly the message I was trying to convey, thus making it a great word, Thais. I have a master's degree. I have a master's degree. What up?
You can just say apathetic. It's an even better word.
I have a master's degree. Deal with it. Okay, I'm
And
joking.
what? Bullshitting?
Yeah. I have a PhD. I have a PhD in that, and that's going to be a Fusro Da.
Fusro Da.
Sorry.
Oh, editing.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Mark that down. 25 minutes. Fusro Da.
Oh, Thais. Dropping the S word. I love it. It's a good episode.
It's one thing when I do it because people expect it of me.
So now I can accidentally say something. I understand.
That's why people are scared of you.
I am not even.
She's the curator, dude. I mean,
That's right.
Wait. You have to tell the story. Is that
No,
that's
we'll
in the
talk-
tail section?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk about
all
that
right,
in
okay,
tails.
Okay.
All right. 25 minutes. You better remember that.
All right.
Write it
All
down.
right,
Do
all right,
something
well,
like that.
Then give me a pen and I'll write it on your face.
Thanks. There you go. Write it down. All right. We're going to move on from the news and we're going to move on to the Elder Scrolls discussion topic, which is I saw this in a post and I actually read the post in its entirety. And actually, I feel like I'm going to read the entire post again because I thought it was pretty good. I found this on Reddit after the patch went live. And we can talk about it a little bit. And actually, Thais, why don't you go ahead and just read that entire post?
Okay. I am not one for writing negative posts, but I wanted to gauge how others are feeling on the changes to normal DSA. There are 2 points that I'm very disappointed about that ZOS has done recently in regards to normal DSA. Point 1. The difficulty I remember several months ago beating normal DSA for the first time. It was such an awesome feeling overcoming all the mechanics and defeating the final boss to attain the title of Dragonstar Arena Champion. It took several tries on round 10, but we did it. Last night in Zone Chat, I saw a group requesting a DPS for a normal DSA run, so I pugged in and thought I would help them out. It was beyond disappointing. The difficulty on the last boss was a joke. We finished before reaching the 3rd island. At one point our tank went down due to standing in a Nova for way too long, and I was tanking on my DPS gear for about a good 15 seconds. The archer really didn't even need to be interrupted, and what happened to the mage? I would say that even the veteran dungeons are harder, which are in the process of being nerfed? Point 2. Master weapons last week were the first time that I was able to beat DSA. My whole
Vet
team.
DSA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Veteran DSA. My whole team was excited to get a crack at the master weapons. It took my team close to 30 game hours, typically because one of our DPS was different each time, but we beat it. I don't think I can vocalize the frustration that I felt when I heard that this elusive weapons were now dropping in V13 form in normal DSA. ZOS. Really? I understand the need to gear content to the masses, but nerfing the content down to where a pug group can attain the best weapons in the game, and where an experienced group can farm pretty much all the weapons in a couple of days. How about we turn the serpent into a garter snake, and the manticore into a kitten, so we can see more clears on Sanctum? Endgame content, including Tier 1 trials and normal DSA, should not be this easy. They should be geared to moderately prepared guilds that know their class and can work together as a team. The final endgame, like Serpent or Veteran DSA difficulty, is something that only the top elite can accomplish. That is how I feel on the issue. What are other people's thoughts?
Now, I thought this was an interesting post, and to count on this, Delty and I were talking a little bit about it, and I'll start this off by saying this is speculation from several points. We have no hard numbers from ZOS on what was nerfed, but based on the 1.5.6 patch where they said they're going through and nerfing all of the instanced mobs and stuff that can be scaled to VR1, etc., and above, I don't know if it was unintentional to touch DSA period or not, but it seems like a lot of the hard content has been nerfed, just judging by the amount of clears this week I've seen for Vet DSA. I haven't changed any guilds, and I never saw, or very rarely would see, a vet DSA clear. Last week alone, I seen 8 different clears just within when I got to play, which was starting Tuesday, Wednesday. I wasn't even on the game Thursday, Friday, and then I saw again on Saturday. So 3 days worth of time, I've seen 8 vet DSA clears. It seems to kind of coincide with a general nerf of all the content. Thais, well, how do you feel just by when we read that post, this person's thoughts? Just generalizing, I guess.
If that is actually what Zos did, then I completely agree with their post. Okay. It shouldn't be something that is that easy, especially not when I remember you were going into the test server, the PTS. There we go, and saying how difficult it was and how excited and happy you are that it was so difficult. So if it really is this easy, it needs to be changed back.
Okay. And Deltia, what about you, good sir?
I got strong opinions on this, you know that.
And that's fine, because I got some as well. So let's go ahead.
All right. It's going to take a bit of time to flesh out all these ideas. The person who wrote this, Mr. T, I was one of their DPS that was swapping in and out. And so I reached Veteran DSA 4 or 5 times at the last level with about 60 lives and kept dying. Now, to counter Ag's argument about Veteran DSA clears, 2 counterpoints I want to make. Well, 3. 1, we have no evidence directly or otherwise that this was nerfed. If you look at my Veteran DSA clear and then some of my earlier videos, the HP is about the same, if not the identical. So go check that. If you think there's actually hard evidence to counter it, please let me know, because I would love to see that. And I'm not defending this perspective just because I beat it after the quote-unquote alleged nerf. Because I wish you would have read the post on Tamriel Foundry, because there was some great discussion by Xanadu on there, where he counters T's argument. And T's a very well thought out guy, and I think he was just excited about beating it. But to my point is, when a new content is released, if there's not incentive for people to do it, no one's going to do it. I think that people got wind of the master weapons and then started trying this. I think people got a strategy that worked for the boss on level 10, and people got wind about it. And my point is, how soon do you see a lot of clears in Hellraw and AA? The first week it was released, did you see a lot of them? No. 2 weeks later, did you see some? Yeah. Was there a point where it exponentially, there you go, Thais, exploded with clears? Yes. Why? Because people learn the content. They get used to it. They understand that gearing for Dragonstar Arena, specifically the 10th wave, is much different. In fact, Mr. T himself, when he started doing this, he had the footman's gear. He actually got a full set of footman's gear with flame resist jewelry, each piece costing 70,000 grand. So, to counter his point, was he better prepared for that last boss? What do you think? You're talking about a 70 grand a piece, 100 or 200,000 plus gold for this one fight. Is that subjective? No, that's evidence-based, right? That's flame damage. You can mitigate some of that. So, while I understand he has a strong opinion, and it feels nerfed to me, it does, and I beat it after, it just feels psychologically nerfed. I don't know if it's because we're better prepared. We've done it 5-6 times. I really don't know. But that's something to think to counter his argument.
Sure. And I'm not coming against anyone that said this. It's just this was posted 6 days ago. And actually it is Mr. T, the DK that's from Entropy Rising, written on this. I'm not... Let me put it this way. We talked about this a little bit. Nerfing content, I'm fine with when there's new content available, because people should be able to see the content, but not necessarily right away. If there needs to be goals for people, because otherwise, if there's no goals for people, they're just gonna,
now what?
Yeah. But it seems kind of a weird time to nerf. I would have been fine with this nerf if a new trial was out, or a new version of Dragonstar Arena, or something along those lines. Like, hey, let's nerf this content to help people gear up to combat the next thing. That I'm fine with this. Because there needs to be a stopgap. Because games that don't have like little bits of help along the way, and you saw this in earlier MMOs where before they added I guess we'll call it step up gear for lack of a better word. Guilds, when you lost somebody, you would have to run them through old content to gear them up to do the current content. That's how it worked, because there was no step up gear like, oh, well, now that new stuff is out, here, we'll just release a way to get not the best in slot gear or whatever the case may be, but gear to help you be more prepared for the next encounter. They haven't released any new encounters, no new trials, we don't even know what's coming in update 6, but I can tell you right now, based on our speculation, I doubt it's a PvE trial. I really doubt that. So why nerf all of this content right now?
Well, a couple of points to counter. Number one is you're assuming that it's nerfed, and we have no actual evidence that it is. Here's another example. You reached level 3 Veteran Dragonstar Arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, level 5 or 6 has these Shadowcasters that you can completely avoid a mechanic that basically kills your entire team if you have enough DPS to nuke it down. They're called Shadowcasters. So, week 1 and 2 when Dragonstar Arena's out, no one knows where these spawn. Week 700, that's an exaggeration obviously, we know exactly where they spawn. So what do? Now, when it's the next phase for the Shadowcaster, we get one gargoyle up, stop all DPS until everyone's has an ultimate. Then we position the gargoyle right by that Shadowcaster, kill it, drop our ultimates, start the new phase, kill the Shadowcaster, boom, it's easy mode.
Sure.
My point to you is, was that a nerf on Zos's part, or was that just better gameplay? Was that just knowing the facts?
No, and I agree. There's certain bits of knowing that, but this is gonna be a great counter argument between the two of us. We all know specifically 1 through 9 has been cleared for quite a while. Like, people have been getting 1 through 9 for many weeks. Judging by how long Vet DSA has been out, that came out in what, update 4?
September,
if I remember correctly.
I think September.
Okay, September. It is now almost December. Okay, that's a long time in terms of game life for a piece of game, like a dungeon or something, to go uncleared by the masses. Other raiding games, Warcraft, for instance, which arguably, and I will say this is probably one of the best raiding games out there because that's what they focus on. That's the one thing they focus on. Their content is normally cleared by the top people within the first 1 or 2 weeks, and then it filters out at a fairly steady pace the rest of the time. Why then, DSA being so hard, did we not see very many clears from when it was first launched till this week, when all of a sudden we start seeing lots of clears? And that being said, and I understand people are learning fights, etc., etc.
Don't give me more than one question, bro. Like, I have a small memory.
I know, but this is one more thing I want to bring in. I've been following you a lot because I love watching your stuff. You can even admit this, like, your best attempts up until this week has been 60 lives at the start of 1 through 9, up until starting rank 10.
That's true.
This week alone, you're at 93. And I mean, you guys have been working on it for quite a while, but I don't see such a huge gap. It should have been, 60, 70, 80, 80. So there should have been a more gradual as you guys got better and better. Does it really count for 30 lives difference with a patch, essentially?
Okay,
that's
so
what that's a huge percentage. That's 30-some% better.
All right, my
in
turn.
One patch.
My turn. So,
your turn. Go
so question number 1 was, refresh my memory. Let's go with question number 1 first.
Question number 1 was the amount of time that's passed with Vet DSA.
Right, exactly. Great point. Okay, so a couple of things happened. One, I'm not saying this came from my side or whatever, but the Master of Weapons started filtering out to the masses. There has to be an incentive for people to do content, and frankly, Veteran Dragonstar Arena really didn't have that until people started seeing the weapons. So realistically, people weren't doing it. The bread and butter endgame big dog event is Serpent Trial. Why do people do Serpent Trial? The loot's better. You get awesome rings. Now, Dragonstar Arena Vet does have really good rings and stuff like that, but the Master Weapons are really cool. I have a guide on it. But to be honest with you, they're not even best in slot in most cases. So they're really just like a trophy. And why am I going to spend 40 plus hours learning one fight when I could just go do Serpent, spend 20 hours with a bigger group and get it done on farm? Right? So the loot needs to be there. Number two, to counter that point, is this is a different crowd than WoW. It is. I'm sorry. When you can pay $90 or whatever it is to have a level 90, this game didn't cop out on free to play, and it's not that crowd. And thank you, Zos, for not doing it. It's a different crowd. I think it's a more mature crowd. I think it's a different type of gamer that plays this game. Yes, you have the same amount of, same PvP meatball, PvE meatball, elitist jerk, but I think it's a lot less. A lot less people are reaching endgame than I've ever seen in any other game, because this game is all about dinking around. It really is. Like I'm doing, picking flowers. It's a different mindset. So to counter that point, it's a different game, and also the risk reward isn't there for people to really spend the time doing it. Now, to point two, which was, remind me, what was your second point?
Point two was the huge change in the amount of lives you guys
Oh,
had.
me personally. Okay.
Yes, just to kind of lend weight to the supposed nerf, because even you said it kind of feels that way.
I do think it was nerfed. But there's no direct evidence that I can say that it is for sure, so I'm going to defend the point until they come out and say otherwise. It feels nerfed. And why does it feel nerfed? I think it might have been coincidence that the dungeon was nerfed, along with the fact that people had cleared it and were confident in doing so. And the group that I was running with, they had Veteran Dragonstar Arena on farm, and they were farming it before the change. So when I went into their group, I actually tanked and didn't DPS. So Mr. T, ironically, the person who wrote that comment, was out, and they needed someone to fill his spot, which was me. So they knew what to do. I had one job. They told me exactly what to do, and I executed it. I didn't have to worry about where the spawns were. I didn't have to worry about this. I didn't have to worry about that. They knew it all. So there was so much less pressure on me that I could just really focus on my job, making it way easier. Plus, you haven't factored in the gear changes with the Undaunted. Now everyone has those Lich sets. Now everyone has those Crypto Heart sets. That adds a lot of damage. Believe me, it does at endgame. Now people are farming Serpent Trial, so the gear's better. We know the fight's better, and there's a confidence factor. It's psychological. I'm going in with 3 people who have beaten this, 2 people who have beaten this. We're getting this done today. There's nothing that's going to stop us. They just did it. That's my counterpoint. But with that being said, I think it's nerfed.
Okay. It's all, and I agree, but
well, let's talk about this. I know we can go back and forth forever on this.
Yeah.
Should it be nerfed? Now, I want to start with that.
Okay, should it be nerfed?
Vet Dragonstar Arena should not. It should be hard as a son of a, you know what. It should be miserable hard. It should be, I want to pound the keyboard and cry and moan and be miserable. I want it that hard, because it is an accomplishment. And beating it like I did last night, I don't care if it's nerfed or not, it's hard. It's still hard.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's still harder than a lot of stuff. But I can tell you this right now, is I'm sure you'll feel, let's just say they come out tomorrow and go, yeah, by the way, sorry guys, we accidentally nerfed it by 20%.
You'll feel like crap.
You'll be like, oh, well, it just takes a little something away from you.
It does.
Now you know.
It does, but without knowing, I'm going to say, I'm a superhero and I'm Boethius Scythe and deal with it.
It's an accomplishment still. It's still difficult.
But to your point, they need some uber difficult content. You always do, where like the 1% have trouble beating it. And
whenever the 1% have trouble beating things, you don't see the whole, well, I got nothing to do, hurry up and give me the next content, because people are still working on it.
Yeah, and the 1% definitely need to have that. What I think was happening in this game specifically is that less than 1% were beating it, and really no one was playing it. I think because the incentives weren't there, it was too hard, so why am I going to spend all this time doing it? I think that's what brought about the nerf, and especially dungeons. Now, so let's separate the two issues. We got Vet Dragonstar Arena, which feels nerfed, no idea if it is or not, and we have fact, which dungeons are nerfed. That's a fact. There's no debating that.
I agree that dungeons should have been nerfed, because dungeons aren't, those are things you do to get prepared for endgame. DSA and trials are the endgame.
Okay. I'm very happy that they nerfed dungeons. Did they nerf it a little too hard? Maybe. I think maybe a little bit too much. It might be a little bit too easy. I don't know. You have to get in there and formulate your own opinion. But at least now, they're doable. The hardest fight in the game should not be Banished Cell's third boss. I'm sorry. It's terrible. It should not be the hardest fight in the game. And now it's not. It's manageable. You're seeing pugs actually complete the stuff. You're seeing more people get the gear. I think it was a really positive change. They took it a little bit farther than, but I'd rather have more people completing dailies and enjoying the content in the gear than less.
Random question I want to pull out from the chat room. Mr. Bigglesworth, ESO, awesome. Should it be nerfed? Well, here's a better question. Should a difficulty exist which doesn't get easier with better gear?
I think developers have been trying to make that for eternity.
The only game that I think even has something similar to that, again, bringing WoW up, they have their challenge modes where they put caps on gear when you go into them. They give you a set of gear that essentially goes over your gear. That's what you run with.
I don't like that because it takes away the individuality of your character.
Yeah, well, in that game, it's a little different.
Well, yeah, it's cartoony, but
you don't have all the sets that you do. If you have they give you a tier set or whatever it is. This is what you got. This game's a little different with the type of set bonuses that make your character. That in that game, it's whenever a new season came out, that's your set bonus, whether you liked it or not. This one, you mix and match set bonuses to make it. Yeah. See, this is the thing where I know when Champion System comes out, because they are talking about doing a gear grind in that way where they add seasons of gear. Well, I think there should be a mode that exists that when you're wearing all the best season gear, which is the highest stat you could possibly get, it's still difficult. There's no way to outgear that content. And there were games that have that kind of content where you have the best in slot gear, maybe not, or at least the highest stat advantage. Maybe they give you a reward going, you beat it, you get a special weapon, or, like the master weapons, which were a good incentive. But you can't overgear things. And I think that's the only way you're going to be able to get that in this game is the top-end content doesn't get nerfed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I go the other way with it. I like the gear progression. It makes your character feel unique. I love the sets in and out of crafting. I think crafting's still valuable, especially with the Dwemer. They did a really good job adding that. For me, I want my Dragonknight tank T3 to matter. I want his look to be unique. And I'm not RPer, you guys keep that in mind. But it matters. It's my character.
He hangs out in taverns all the time.
Yeah, I do. ERP, baby. No. So I want it to be unique. I think gear should matter. It should. There should be a treadmill. If there's no treadmill, no one's playing your game.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the gear treadmill's one thing or the other. There's certain games that have mechanics that are instant kill mechanics. It doesn't matter what your gear is. If you do it wrong, you die. And they could implement things like that there's no way to outgear it.
Yeah, it's called Serpent Trial.
Yeah, there's things that will kill you regardless.
It's called Serpent Trial.
I agree. And there should be stuff where I think gear should make surviving normal hits and the normal damage of a dungeon easier. It should never make it so you can ignore
easy mode
mechanics.
Yeah. And my argument to counter yours was not that I have gotten so much gear I'm just ridiculous better. I mean, I was already wearing pretty good gear, but I took it, I went the extra step to get the 2-3% to really beat it.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what you need, and that should be the mentality everyone gets into when you're aiming for the high end stuff. And to go back to the original question, I'll build on it. I think this gear or this content should have been nerfed when new content is available to help people get through it.
Yeah.
The nerf prior to new content being available takes away that pedestal of that's what I'm aiming for. Because now you don't know when new content's available. Like Delta, you finished Vet DSA. Serpent Trial's still there, but we'll just say Vet DSA is like
now what? Now what?
Right? Now what are you doing? Now you're sitting there going, now I have to wait for new content, which we don't even know when that's going to happen.
That was my actual next thought after I beat it.
Yeah, it's like, now what do I do? Now I wait which is something you never want an MMO player to do. MMOs that tend to, we'll just say, fail or whatever, are when people run out of things to do.
Maybe I'll go back to PvP and...
Which obviously he probably doesn't want to do at the moment.
No.
There needs to be stuff to do, and that's where my problem with this arises. And it's not even just talking about, Deltia and his clear, because I'm not at all picking on him, because the accomplishment is definitely there. It's the huge amount of other stuff, and I'm sure, Delta, you've probably seen other people clearing who weren't in that same mindset of, like the Entropy Rising guys, which you guys are all about number crunching, getting that last little percent, which is what the top echelon of raiders do. But even as what Mr. T said, a random pug that you've never played with before can clear. Now, this was normal DSA, yeah, but I think that's starting to extend a little bit more into other trials and things like that. When you go and cross and nerf things like this is what happens. You don't need that tight gameplay anymore.
Yeah.
You just need a little bit of good gear and not being stupid.
Yeah, I think we're going in circles on this, but there's somewhat of a fine balance making it too hard and too easy. And ultimately, I think they made it a little bit too easy. That Dragonstar Arena does feel nerfed. It does to me. But I'm giving some counterpoints to think about. So if it does come out that it's not, we don't
actually know for sure, but
dungeons
we saw.
Dungeons do.
Yeah,
I think I really like the game content as it is right now. I think you need one ultra hard thing, which they have Serpent Trials for big groups, 12, and you need one ultra hard thing for small groups, which they quote unquote did have with Dragonstar Arena.
Right.
Both with equally, equal challenge, equal reward. But getting that balance is so hard, where people are playing it, but yet they're progressing. It's not so difficult where, crap, I can't kill a Wamasu. I'm not going to play this. And I think they kind of, in leadership and change, I make it like a boat, right? A boat tips over this one side. What happens? Does it tip back in the middle? That boat always tips way to the other side, right? And it has to kind of go back and forth to center itself out. It's just part of the growing process in this game. So I'm just happier that more people can experience. And if it was nerfed and I still beat it, I don't care. I had a blast doing it, and I love learning the fight. So they're just trying to work it out, and I love the game and the direction they're taking it. So I'm happy with it.
Excellent. And I do want to say congratulations on your clear, by the way. It's still awesome, because there's still not everyone is doing. I'm not seeing random pug stuff, so congratulations.
Oh, it was so fun. I went bananas after I beat it.
I played on the PTS on it, and I thought that was the best thing since sliced bread.
It was hard.
It's great. Now, random hypothetical before, as my wife's iPad goes off. Is that your Farmville?
No, that was The Sims.
That was the Angry
Sims?
Birds?
That was the Angry Birds?
I don't know why.
Yeah, she's a real hardcore gamer right there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We don't even want to get in on that.
No. That's Dragonstar Arena on steroids right there.
Angry Birds beats Dragonstar Arena.
Oh,
you might
any
be
day.
Dragonstar Arena vet mode, but she's playing Angry Birds right now. So back off, casual. Random hypothetical before we end this. If it comes out that this was nerfed accidentally, because judging by the patch notes, it was only supposed to be the monsters that were scaled that were supposed to get a nerf, aka the veteran dungeons and stuff for pledges. If it comes out that DSA was nerfed unintentionally and they restore it, do you feel that they should or should not wipe the leaderboards for all the clears that happened prior when that patch launched? And this is, I want to ask you personally, because you beat it. Me, I can't. I'm not going to leave my opinion out because I have not.
Well, we do have the 9th best time ever.
Right.
That was my clear. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really. The time is nice and stuff, but the accomplishment of clearing it was what matters. I think what I would want to do is go back and clear it if they reversed the content and made it harder again. Because I'd feel I cheated myself beating it on easy mode, if you will. So The times, if there was a reward attached to the time, a specific reward, maybe at the end of a season or whatever, you got a special loot for the top 10. I would
Don't
say
you get a end of the week reward for top 10?
that's for Hell Raw.
I think you still get it for DSA too.
Okay, well then I may be wrong. Because the week hasn't cycled till I got the loot. So if there's a reward attached to it, yes. If there's not a reward attached to it, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to give an opinion. I haven't beat it, but Craze, the congrats was for Deltia, who managed to down veteran Dragonstar Arena this week. So yay!
I'm a real PvEer now. I ain't going back.
I'm so proud. See, this alone, I'm kind of like a father seeing his son walk off because I'm just so happy at this. Like,
well, it's real similar to PvP, and your progression is usually against other players. So like if you've beat another team, you go, oh wow, we beat X team or Y team. Where this is, you beat you beat the computer, and then you can farm it to prove you're good. So it's the same sort of feeling. It's just different. I really love the PvE in this game. It's just chaotic. And the last boss, you might know all the mechanics in the world, and I screwed up. Our clear, I completely screwed up. Very beginning fight, which we'll get to the Tales of Tamriel, I screwed up within the first 10 seconds and almost caused everyone to die.
So much for those extra 30 lives. Deltia made us lose them.
But Daddy popped that magma armor and everything was all right. So,
nice.
Yeah, so the Tales is going to be awesome.
Well, speaking of Tales, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So, Deltia, I'm going to let you go first because you've got a lot to talk about this week.
My
so
God.
Go for it, man.
Oh, so awesome. So awesome being Dragonstar. So we go in there, and they needed a tank, and they're like, you know any good tanks? I'm like, yeah, I'm one. And they're like, well, we've never tanked with you. Are you, an idiot or what? I'm like, I can get out of red circles. It's fine. And so this team... I wrote a blog post about it. Feel free to read it if you're interested in the story. But essentially, the leader was really strong. Not necessarily, he's a great healer, one of the best. But what he was really good at is indicating, do your job. That's it. Don't try to be a tank healer. Don't try to be a tank DPS. Don't try to be anything else than a tank. We need you to stay alive and keep crap off of us. Okay. I had the military mindset. If you tell me what to do, I will do exactly what you tell me. Nothing else. So you better tell me exactly what you want done. And he did. And I executed. And that type of leadership, that type of role is fulfilling to me. Because it brings me back to my time, in the military. And we got stuff done. The stakes were really high. It was life or death. And that's not the case in this video game per se. But you feel the same sense of camaraderie you do. That when you beat something or do something against all odds... you guys did it together. You might be white, black, Hispanic, whatever. It doesn't matter. We are a team, and it matters. And I got that same feeling from beating Dragonstar Arena. So as far as the actual beating that goes, we got there, and it felt Nerf because we were just rocking. I mean... we got the 9th best time, and I was taking, my usual 10-minute pee breaks, and we had a crash, blah, blah, blah. We're taking our time. We smoking through it. We got to the last boss, I think, with 97 lives or something, and a couple of deaths were just, just not paying attention type thing. So we were smoking it. Got there, and I had that confidence factor where I am going to beat this. I am a Dragonknight tank. There is no way you're going to kill me. I did end up dying once, but we recovered, and it was fine. So we go into the fight, and I had been there 20, 30 hours, right? And I've always DPS'd it. So going back to my little story, if you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to execute it, but I'm not going to take in any information that's not useful to me. So as a DPS, I just know I have to stand at a certain spot, and I have to do a certain set of actions. That's pretty much all I know. And so... what happens? First thing happens, goes off. Within 10 seconds, the fire comes. I never had to worry about that as a DPS. And I said, okay, you tell me to say split, and I will take the boss off where I'm supposed to go. Until you tell me that, I'm not going. So he just assumed that I would know, because I've been here for like 30 hours, that, within 10 seconds, it would blow up. I just completely spaced off. So what happens? Fire comes. Everyone's like, God damn it, this is a wipe, you idiot, blah, blah, blah. Not that bad, obviously, but I'm like, crap, I just let my team down. I'm like, screw it, let's work through it. We got this. So I popped Magma Armor. Everyone fires off the synergy, so they get a huge health bubble, and we just work through it. Now we recover. Now we get back on pace. Okay, all right, we can do this. No big deal. I screwed up. I'll make it up for it. Boss gets a little bit down. We screw up another mechanic. And it's just dealing with pressure and being able to work through it as a group. What did we do? Work through it. So they had me split again, which is basically you have to go off on your own and self-heal yourself through probably, I don't know, 20,000 points of damage. So you have to really time your magic. You really have to time your resources. Your potions have to be off cooldown. You have to have an ultimate up. It's really time sensitive. So I got all those things, but this time, specifically, we left a couple ads up. So while I'm crossing, coming back to them, I'm getting nuked down. And I'm like, guys, my resources about, I have no stamina. I can't block. And to your point, how hard it is, the healer has to tank the other boss. So you have the healer tanking and the main tank tanking. There's no way, there's no other healer, right? You're not getting heals. I'm like, guys, you gotta help me. Boom, I die. And this is that the boss is like at 40% health. I'm like, crap. What happened? Boom. The other guy's Zaz goes right over to me. Boom. Coming up. 3, 2, now. Full heal. Breath of life. Magma armor. Life's good. Back in the saddle. Got the boss. Everything's good. Okay. So we whittle him down. Just to be safe, let's split one more time. Potions off. Cooldown. Ready to go. Charging up my ultimate. Go to the split. It's game time. Bring him back. I got an ultimate ready. And at this point, I know we beat it. There's no way you're going to kill me with Magma Armor up. There is no way you're going to take the team down. We push the boss past 30 to avoid the other ads and nuke him down. And right at 1% health, the boss goes, "You beat me!" And I started screaming. And it was awesome. Got that achievement. Got my Boethia Scythe title. I was so happy. It's a great feeling. I mean, you know, and when you read a book, when you go watch a movie, it doesn't matter what emotion you want to feel. It could be pain, love, horror. Why do people go to horror movies? They want a powerful emotional experience. Why do people play video games? Well, I know why I do. I want a powerful emotional experience, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And to embrace all the failures and to really embrace when you succeed and it comes together, there's nothing better than that. And that's what I really did this week.
Excellent. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hence why I cannot wait to get back into raiding in this game, because I love that same feeling of being able to conquer something like that. That as soon as you see him die, everyone's screaming over comms. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll get VR14 one of these days. I'm looking at you, Thais.
Mm-hmm. Why are you looking at me?
Because you yelled at me the one day. You're like, "Oh, you can go ahead and play without me." So.
Yeah, I play. You can. It's okay to like gather some stuff, play without me for a little bit. That's fine. But just leveling crazily without your partner is just so not even in the same realm.
If there was an auto follow feature, I'd have had your character logged in and auto follow.
Yeah, he'd be hotboxing by now.
I really would.
Or you can do your farming on my toon.
Well, fine. Then I'm taking her to Spellscar. You'll be VR14 in no time.
Just make sure to swap her ultimates. Go back to
the
real one.
Oh my gosh. No, you have to keep Sparky Paw.
No, Sparky Paw is getting negated.
But he's like,
ooh, that's good.
He's so amazing. And remember, Kipster yelled at me for using the gate, so I'm not using the gate anymore.
That's because you were using it on a solo boss.
Nope, not.
Negate would have been helpful on those spiders that we were fighting the one day.
No, Sparky Paw did his job on those spiders.
Okay, well, about that. So we did get some questing in when Thais wasn't feeling
sick as a dog.
Sick as a dog, yeah. Not a lot, but a little bit. We liberated Northpoint, which was really cool. Just a heads up for those of you who are listening, this is going to be probably pretty spoiler intensive for the close to the ending of the Rivenspire area. If you do not wish to listen, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the next section. Podcast listeners, YouTube listeners, stuff like that, I do write down a little list of all the timestamps, so feel free to jump to the next section. Anyway, so as we're sneaking into Northpoint, the whole place is surrounded and infested with vampires. Gotta love it. All those Montclair little buggers. They're just, it's the feeling you get when walking in there. It is pretty creepy. You'll walk in and you see all the vampires and they're just feeding off like all these corpses.
It's not even that they're vampires. Those I could deal with. It's those other things.
The blood fiends.
The blood fiends.
Which
there
are
you go.
vampires who have lost all sense of humanity. They're just crazy. They're great. Why don't you like those things? Tell me a little bit more.
About what?
What do they give you? Why?
Well, because if they were vampires, it's different. They could at least think or talk, or they could be good vampires like Verandas. But the blood fiends are just mindless beasts, and they're creepy because they crawl and they just like shove flesh in their face, and
They're like almost like zombies, but fast-moving zombies, and they can teleport, which is kind of creepy. Anything else you want to say?
not on blood fiends, no.
Okay.
No.
All right. So yeah, we're sneaking around trying to help everyone in there, and we had to go rescue our search party that is within the walls. And one of the people, which we find out later when we bring him back, is what is his name? Darian Gutier.
Yes.
What happened there? I'm gonna let you take this.
He apparently was getting bit, but when he was checked by the Countess, there were no bites. And he was going like crazy. He's laying in bed, and the Countess is like, yeah, I gave him something to help him sleep. And you're like, okay, well, what did you give him? And she's like, oh, a quick smack to the head with my staff. That's apparently how she got him to calm down and to go to sleep. And then you talk to him, and his like eyes are like all wide. He's like, oh, it's nap time. Just leave me alone. So he didn't have any bite marks though when he was being searched. So we're not sure exactly what is happening to him.
It's going to be interesting because he's one of my favorite characters in the Daggerfall Covenant because he's just hilarious. You find him at one point earlier, I think one we talked about in last week or the week before, where you find him in the bandit captain's bedroom, like, and she's like passed out, like naked, or as naked as ESO lets you get. And he's sitting there by the fire eating this piece, and you're like, whoa, dude, what's up? He's like, shh, I'm gathering intelligence by sleeping with the bandit commander. He's my hero. He's like my absolute hero. He's great.
But during that quest, Gwendis pops out of the shadows, and he's like, oh, wow, I wish I'd have known you were here. More the merrier.
I love Darian. Mm-hmm. He is the best guy ever. So I'm kind of worried because he kind of disappears after you finish
saving Northpoint.
Yeah, he's no longer in the area. So I don't know where him and the other guys went. Because we're supposed to go out after the Doom Crag to end all of this stuff that's happened. But he's not in the city anymore, and neither are any of the other people, Countess Tamriel or any of those other people. So I'm kind of got a bad feeling that something's probably going to happen to him.
I don't feel that way because I remember seeing him later on and he seemed fine, so
fighting with my Khajiit?
Yes.
I see that.
Okay, good.
So when we finally do liberate the city or getting close to it, you find it's one of the Montclair's daughters that has taken over the city, and that the guy who's supposed to be in charge of the city is, I guess, under his spell. Now, Thais, go ahead and you tell this part, because when we finally run into her.
Oh, okay. So we go into the house where she's supposed to be, and the guy that's under her command, he's like, oh, she's so wonderful, and we love her so much. Go upstairs and introduce yourself. Go say hi. So we go upstairs, and I'm still like looking around, but Ag stops right before the entrance to the room, and he's looking through the doorway, and he's like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. I'm like, what?
Let me preface this. She's laying all seductively on the bed, her laying to the side, her knee up, and she's bracing her head. She's just like being seductive little vampire. Go ahead.
And I completely don't agree. And You walk up to her and you start talking, and she has the seductive voice thing
Like
going
making you
on.
my plaything kind of deal.
And I think she's absolutely creepy. I am ready to just, like kill her mercilessly right there. And Egg is across the room going, "Oh, she's so hot. I'll be your slave.
That's right.
That's
I'll be your
fine."
slave. I'm fine with this.
And then I turn to Egg and I go, "Egg, we can't fall for this spell." And he's like, "Oh, I already have." I'm like, "Egg, who's hotter?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't think I can answer that." I go, "That's fine. Who's scarier?" And he goes, "Oh, you, definitely you. You're scarier.
The tear eater.
You."
Yeah, because I'm like, she's hot. She's like, who's hotter? I'm just like, She's like, all right, who's scarier? Okay, you win.
Yes. So then after that, we were able to, beat her down, set her on fire.
To any of the men that listen to this podcast, when you get up to this point in Northpoint, send me a Twitter or an in-game message and let me know what you thought of her. Just let me know. So, yeah.
But I'm still infinitely scared.
You are infinitely scarier than her.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes.
So then we were able to beat her down and, set her on fire and save Northpoint. And it was awesome.
What happened to the sun, though?
I felt so bad because after you get outside of this house and you defeat her, his spell breaks. But when you get outside, his father is so angry. He's like, "I have no son. You are dead to me. Clap him in irons. You will pay for everyone that died here."
Arrested him for treason.
And I thought it was unfair. So unfair. It was not his fault.
Well, you even talk to the father afterwards, and he even says it's not how I hoped our reunion would actually be, but he still, he still needs to be held accountable and pay for all the crimes.
And one of your characters' responses is, "Yeah, but Larea paid for those crimes with her life because it really was her fault." And when she entered Northpoint, she entered saying, "I'm here to help." So of course, if he's the leader, he's going to go, "Help? Okay, we'll accept help." It wasn't his fault. I don't think it was fair.
But even when you say that, though, that she paid for it, he's like, that he was under the spell. The father's like, he wasn't under spell when he welcomed her into the city. So it's one of those Elder Scrolls storylines, sad and sadder, I tell you what. So he gets clapped in irons and taken away, probably to be beheaded, because that's the price of treason.
So unfair.
Wow. All right, so we saved Northpoint. Now to get a little bit lighter, we went and visited one other place, which is a little cave in the mountains of Rivenspire. And guess who we run into? Lady Laurent and our favorite person in the world, Stibbins.
Poor Stibbins.
Poor Stibbins. Oh, I remember when we first were talking about when we first ran into Stibbins, because we are Ebonheart Pact, we're not Daggerfall Covenant. You don't run into Stibbins if you're not playing Daggerfall Covenant until Cold Harbor. And I remember talking about him, and someone else was mentioning, just wait till you play the Daggerfall zones, because you see all the stuff that happened to him in Cold Harbor. It doesn't get any better when you play through the zone. Like, there's a lead up of what happens with Stibbins.
It's so sad. Stibbins is so in love with Lady Laurent, and she just treats him like crap.
All right. Well, we're sent to go
Explore a cave.
explore a cave where we have to go retrieve something called the Emerald Chalice that was stolen from the Mages Guild by a group of exiled Nords. So we go in there, and the place is full of goblins. And she's, of course, saying, I hired some muscle, and they're saying there's goblins in there. But there shouldn't be any goblins. It's all a Nord tribe. They're just lazy, no good for nothing.
Hey, 6% damage mitigation. Take it back.
The hirelings, which are Bretons. So, there. So you go in there, and it's full of goblins. And you actually find out that this Emerald Chalice does have an enchantment on it that turns everyone into goblins.
If you drink from it.
If you drink from it.
It turns you into a goblin.
Uh-huh. And the Nord leader was using it to control all the goblins. And when you run into one of the mercenaries, he doesn't want you to tell Laurent about it, that he wants her to drink from it and turn into a goblin too. So then what happens?
So he's asking us to lie. To say, hey, look, we got it. You should probably drink from it. You know, everyone in the cave was saying that it's delicious. To just lie. But I'm thinking, you know, we can't do that because if we lie, then this goblin won't be able to turn back into a Breton, and that's probably not a good idea.
But at the time, he even said he doesn't think it's possible to turn back.
Well, we still wanted to take that chance. So I said to Ag, do you want to lie or do you want to tell the truth? And he said, you know, he agreed with me that we should probably tell the truth. So we give her the chalice and we say, hey, you know, we found your chalice, but there's kind of a problem with it. The cave was full of goblins, but they're actually all Nords, and here's one of the dudes right now. Do you think there's any way to fix this? And she's like, oh, yeah, you know, there's probably a way, but I'm going to need some blood. And then she's like, Stibbins, come give me your arm, I need some blood. And he just walks over all nonchalant, like, sure, but can you not get it on my shirt because blood stains, and I'm going to have a hard time getting it out. I thought that was an odd reason to not want to give your blood to somebody. So she takes the blood from Stibbins and she feeds it to the other guy, and he magically turns back into a Breton. But then you're watching as the enchantment is dissipating from the goblin, and poor Stibbins is being turned into a goblin. And poor Stibbins.
Poor Stibbins.
But if did you talk to him afterwards? Because all he says is he goes, "How am I gonna be able to cook now? There's no way I'm gonna be able to cook." Like, that is so not what you should be worried about. No.
Poor Stibbins. Anyway, that is where we ended, and we'll probably continue next week with finishing off Rivenspire, which is the Doomcrag. So that'll be exciting. Now, I still played a little bit without Thais, because she's always sleeping. Poor thing. Maybe after the first trimester's over, you'll be able to stay awake for longer than 10 minutes.
I'm not gonna lie, I was sleeping in the middle of the show.
Yeah, she really was. I had us on mute, and Deltia's going over his tails, and she's over there snoring.
Thais sleeping during my tail? How dare you?
I know. I was like,
I
how
can't
rude.
help it. I can't even stay awake.
That's all right. I forgive you.
Thank you, Deltia.
But before our time, I'm over there like tapping her. It's almost our time.
You have to wake up now. You have to wake up.
Don't worry. I use the restroom, one of my 5-minute pee breaks, so it's okay.
Yeah.
That is a long pee break.
I know.
Deltia.
And then if I have to ask a question, I have to come up with filler out of nowhere just to wait till he comes back. I can't move on to the next section. All right, well, let's just fill this in. The joys of a live show. At least when we did studio recordings, we could just pause the recording if we needed to take a break. Nope,
Yep,
not anymore.
No, not anymore.
Nope. I've been playing on my Khajiit Dragonknight. What is her name?
I don't even care.
Come on,
No.
what's the name?
No, I don't even want to justify it.
Come on.
Nope.
She's sitting right there, and she always wants to be on the show.
And I hate her. If I could strangle this cat, I would. Ag decided to make a Khajiit and name it Pinello after his horrible,
Don't make me edit this again.
nasty cat. His cat is the worst cat on the planet.
I love her. She's so cute.
No, she's not.
Yes,
no,
she is.
she's really not. She's got like pea yellow eyes that pierce through your soul. She's got this ugly monster face, and her fur is like the color of dirty charcoal. Like, she's just nasty.
Tell me how you really feel about it.
Yeah, I know, right? She's only saying this because...
She probably loves that dang cat.
Wow.
No, she doesn't. But the cat believes that I'm her mate and that my wife is the interloper.
This cat's bitten me like 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, she's bitten me. Our bathroom looked like a crime scene.
Well, you were
because
trying
there
to
was-
give her a bath.
Because someone let her get clean.
All right, this is off topic.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, I made a Khajiit based off my beloved cat that I love.
Gross.
And I've been playing her. So yeah, that was fun. I had to create her. I actually made my cat sit on my desk and sit here while I try to make a Khajiit that looks like you.
And his Khajiit is just as ugly as the real thing.
Is pea yellow an achievement you have to unlock to get the eye color? Or
For the eye color.
pea?
I call it amber, but okay.
No, pea yellow is a much better
yellow?
term. You can actually get pea yellow at Lowe's this week. It's a Black Friday sale. So
Black Friday sale.
Lowe's, if you want to sponsor Tales of Tamriel, we will hawk your pea yellow paint anytime. Just throwing that out there.
Time, man.
A lot of Lowe's customers listen to Tales of Tamriel. Come on.
All of them.
Like every person who goes in Lowe's. I mean, they have iPods on or Beats by Dre, and they're
Yeah.
The paint counter. I would like semi-gloss pea yellow, please.
As recommended by Tales of Tamriel. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
So I've been playing her, and I've been trying to build off of Deltia's T3 build. She's only like 7 right now. I've only been playing her like today and yesterday. But I've been having a lot of fun with her. So I have like my game up on one screen, and then on my little other screen I have like his guide up, and I'm looking at all the skills. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to pick. Been having fun with her so far. She's a lot of fun. I like her. Heavy armor, volatile. What is that? Volatile armor.
yeah.
Yeah, good times. Things don't kill me.
Yep.
Even at low levels, things don't kill me with volatile armor. They kill themselves.
They kill them, yeah.
It's fun. I've been having fun with her. And actually, even before the show started, up until like 3 minutes before we went live, I was still in game playing on her. Almost done with Balfourian, so moving on. Oh, I am done. I'm in Stonefalls now. All right.
They need to come out with dueling just so I can kill his cat. In game.
That's fine.
I thought you hated
higher
dueling.
level than your character because I'll play her more often. As soon as she hits VR1, I'm taking her to Spellscar. She'll be my first VR14 character.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if the cat that Thais hates is your first VR14 character?
I know, it's not even my main.
I don't know what I'll do. I have no idea what I'll do with that
You're gonna
information.
rage.
I'll tweet it out. My first VR14's not even my main character, and it's the Khajiit that my wife hates. Oh, look at her.
That needs to happen.
No, she's not. No, she's doing that because I'm keeping her in the corner. She's trying so... No, don't even look. No,
Don't even.
no, keep your pee on
All
your
right,
eyes to
so
yourself.
that was our tales before my wife goes crazy on my poor cat. And we're going to move on to the next section, which is the dramatic reading. This week, we're on the second book in the series called Literature. And this is called Crow and Raven, 3 Short Fables. Now, before they start, I think these are told from the perspective of crows and ravens, so you have to speak like the crows from Crowswood.
If you can refresh my memory, I could try and do that.
So we need to figure that out. I don't know.
Does
They're
Deltia
like, do
remember?
you remember Crowswood, the crows?
Yeah, the quest.
What did they sound like?
Like that type thing? Or?
Yeah,
gosh.
kind of like that. And it's really quick, short, high-pitched sentences.
So is that what I'm
Silver,
trying to
yes.
imitate?
Yes.
So kind of like ag, just normal.
Shiny pin, she said. Like that. Exactly like that. So you got to do this.
Why don't you read it?
Yeah, why don't you want me to imitate it? If you know how to do it.
So, Thais, go ahead. Crow and Raven, 3 short fables. Talking the way crows do from Crowswood. Go.
Okay. Crow and Raven were watching Cormorant dive for fish. I wish I could dive, said Crow. I like to eat fish. What? Said Raven. Are you saying Cormorant can do something that you cannot? That's absurd. You're twice the bird Cormorant is. You're right, said Crow, and he dove deep into the water. Half a minute later, he thrashed his way back to the surface. Raven stood nearby. Raven, gasped Crow. Why did you say that? I nearly drowned. Raven shrugged and said, I like to eat birds. Crow and Raven were watching Morning Dove take a bath in a shallow pool. I believe I shall take a bath as well, said Crow. He flew down, splashed about in the pool, and then flew back up next to Raven. That's better, said Crow. Why is that? Said Raven. Your feathers and your beak and your eyes are just as black as before. True, said Crow. But when I flew down to the pool, it startled Morning Dove, and she flew to her nest. Now where is it? Eggs for lunch, said Raven. Crow and Raven sat in the tree above the roadside inn, above a drover snoring in a drunken stupor. Crow cocked his head to the side and said, That sleeping person has a shiny pin on his shirt. It's an award, said Raven. He got it for drinking ale. If he drank the rest of the ale in his mug, you'll get a shiny pin too. Shiny pin, said Crow. He flew down to the table, drank the rest of the ale, and then fell over and couldn't get up. Raven flew down and plucked the pin from the drover's shirt. Shiny pin, she said, and flew off.
Nice.
Is that good?
I love the ravens in Crowswood. They are hilarious. Yeah, so good job for me putting you on the spot with that one.
You're welcome. I tried my best.
I like it. So that was Crow and Raven, 3 short fables.
But were you watching me as I was doing that?
You're talking.
Okay, I'm over here going like this. If this
like
was
the
recorded,
Ravens,
that'd have been just
that
the
we
weirdest
should have
thing.
recorded that. Like, oh, yeah, cock your head like one of the Ravens.
That's what I was doing.
All right.
It was fun.
We're gonna move on to our next bit, which is actually I'm gonna change this up a little bit. We're gonna do something a little different for the spotlight this week. Since this is technically a community spotlight, but for weeks where we do not actually have a spotlight for a community website or anything like that, I think it'd be good that we would start doing an add-on spotlight here as well, because technically they are community creations. So for this first add-on spotlight, I've wanted to spotlight an add-on that a good friend Kipster turned me on to, and I actually turned Deltia onto this one too. He'll know as soon as I say it. So are you a guild leader or part of a large guild? I'm sure you have become aware of how messy your guild bank has become because similar items do not stack in the bank. It's annoying. So before, it was a very manual process by, and I put in quotes, someone had to go in there, clear out all the duplicate stacks, restack them, and put them back in to clear up space. There is now an add-on that is called Roomba. Yes, it's pretty cool. You can find it on either ESO UI or on the Minion client. It allows you to either map hotkeys or you can just click the on-screen prompts to scan your bank first, which only takes a second. It finds all the duplicates, and then you just click run the cleanup, and it pulls them all out of your bank, stacks them, and then places them all back in. Whole process is super quick, much faster than doing it manually, and it'll keep your guild bank nice and clean, and the person doing it sane, because it was a pain in the butt to do it manually. So head on over to ESOUI.com if you're updating your add-ons manually. I do not recommend that. Or search for it using Minion Client, and you can install it. Minion Client's great if you use a lot of add-ons, keeps track of them when there's update. You can have it automatically update, start when Windows starts. It's a good thing to have. You won't regret it, especially if it was your job to keep the bank clean. So, Delty, I know you used it as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, isn't it?
That is pretty handy, yep.
Especially for that stupid guild bank that never stacks. And I know they actually removed that because people were duplicating using the bank. I guess they hadn't figured out a way to fix it. So they just made it so new items don't stack, which was a pain in the butt for anyone who had to manage it. That thing is just great. Click one button, grabs everything, stacks it. You get a little progress bar so you can see it go and finish. It's a great add-on. So we'll bring an add-on spotlight to you for weeks where we don't have community spotlights if one's available. So, all right, we're going to move on to the next section, which is emails. And Deltia has a Deltia thing.
I do. I wanted to read something real quick from YouTube. Someone left me a really nice comment, and I kind of wanted to talk about this community and why it is I do the guides. Now, you don't have to always leave me really super nice comments. Any feedback is always good. Negative, positive, whatever. But this person just made my day. I also got a donation for the website, so I really appreciate that. I don't know if the person's name wants to be told, so I'm not going to do it. But you got to read this. This is from building the Radiant Harvester Templar build. Deltia, thank you so much for this build. My main is an Imperial Templar that I've played since pre-launch. She's my first ESO character and first ever MMO character. Never played an MMO before. Although I've been able to level her to VR 14 and have completed Cadwell Silver and Gold, I've always struggled with my two-handed sword. Abandoned it around level 47. I had started bow at around a level 11 and have always enjoyed it. Have leveled up Destro and Resto too, but I just never figure out how to do enough DPS for the hard endgame veteran content. I had recently respec'd her as a healer, but didn't enjoy that role. Then you published this video and I decided to give it a try, including reactivating my two-handed sword. I respect her this weekend, and wow, today I just completed a Cragorn Delve for the first time, a dungeon I could never complete before. It was grouped with a VR6 Nightblade and a VR14 healer. So far, this build is a total blast. It's a really excellent DPS, even though there's still a way to go to get up to the gear you show in the video. Again, thank you very much. This build is a great early Christmas present. That is moving to me. I really, really appreciate that.
Awesome. I do love this community. They're always great. Always great. Okay. We have one email. Which stays? Go ahead.
Okay, this is from @TUmber. Hello, Tails. I have a couple questions for Deltia. Deltia, I am a Khajiit two-handed Templar. Don't ask me why I decided to go two-handed Templar, it's just what I always wanted to do. Anyways, I checked out your guide on the Templar Harvester and it looks promising. My first question to you is, would it break the build if I were to be a Khajiit instead of an Imperial? Khajiit do have two passive abilities that seem like they would be beneficial to a build like that, including health regeneration and weapon crit. I'm not looking to be perfect, I just want to be able to survive in rough conditions of endgame content. My second question regards crafting. My Templar is also my crafter. So far, he does blacksmithing, alchemy, and provisioning, while my girlfriend does the other three crafts. Would maxing out these crafts make the build squishy? Are there enough skill points out there to give me all the passives I need and still max out those three crafts? If so, would I be able to max out even more crafts later down the line? Your input is much appreciated, and I look forward to hearing your response on the next episode. Thanks.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thanks for the questions. I feel like I'm in a job interview because, if you ever go to a high-end job interview, they ask you like 6 questions and see if you answer each one of them. So here we go, kids. All right. So first off, Khajiit, do you think that's applicable to the Harvester build? Yes. It might even be better than an Imperial. 6% melee crit applies to both bow and or two-hand. So actually, it might even do more damage than Imperial. However, you're going to have to make up the stamina stat some other way with high-end glyphs. That way you can reach that important stamina threshold of 2400 at endgame. So, don't abandon your character. And I tell everyone that. Don't abandon your character over the race choice. I'm playing a Nord Dragonknight and I do DPS with it. I can pull 1100 single target. It's probably the worst race choice for DPS. I don't care. He's my Nord. I love him. I'm going to deal with it. So if you love your character and you want something to work, you can make it work doing whatever. Don't abandon your character. You've put time into it. It's a part of you. Stick with it. All right. So moving on to the next couple of questions. Make sure I answer all these.
Can I throw something in here real quick?
Yep.
As well. As what Delty says, love your character. Racial bonuses at most, if you're a min-maxer, are important, but you're only going to get roughly 2, maybe 3% of a difference between them. So don't hang up too much. It's not going to make or break a build one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree. And it's more important to like your character for whatever reason, whether it's the name, the appearance, or what. That's going to go so much further than 2% crit. It really is. Believe it or not, I'm a mid-maxer and I almost re-rolled my Nord because Nord sucked when it launched, but I like my Nord. So I did, and I stuck with it, came back to the Dragonknight, and guess what? Now it has the best tanking passive in existence. So remember, games do change over time. So stick with it. If you like it, stay with it. Okay, so next bunch of questions essentially is about crafting and, can you do 3 crafts and be effective? The answer is yes, though you really have to to be effective and have all the passives that you need to be top end, you'd have to basically only play one specific build with maybe 12 skills. That's it. So that's the limitation of having all these crafters on a character. I personally like 1, maybe 2, but nothing more than that. Because the armor passes are just too important to pass up. If you do PvP, there's another 10 passives. These Undaunted just released, that's 4 passes right there. So armor's 10, 15, all your skill lines, all of them are good. That's 30, 50. I mean, so it adds up real quick. So a couple of things to know is that there is like a million skill points. There's literally, I think, like 330. Some of them are very challenging to get. Some of them are not so challenging to get. I have every Sky Shard. I've completed every group challenge. I've completed every veteran dungeon. I've completed trials. I've completed City of Ash. And I have 280. So that gives you some perspective. On my super huge mid-max Dragonknight that I'm playing right now, I have 280. I have 1 craft, and I usually play multiple specs. So for me, I can play a tank and a DPS and have about 30 left over with one craft. But I like to play stamina sometimes, DPS, just thinking around. Then I have maybe 5 left. So I know it's a little roundabout way to answer your question. I honestly would not do that if I were you, really, really trying to min-max your character. If you do want to, I would just pick 1, maybe 2. If that's not a possibility, then you're just really going to have to stick with one build, maybe 12 abilities with a couple swap outs. That's about it. Okay. Yep.
I was going to say, just from numbers that I've crafted, because I'm a crafter, okay? You will be stuck with pretty much one build, because my final build, which I've maxed out, includes maxing out all the passives on your skill lines. That includes having every single skill from your class skill lines with a morph. Every single skill from 2 weapons, which was bow and greatsword for me, with every passive, every skill, and every morph in that. Maxing out Fighters Guild, didn't really touch Mages Guild, got the passives from Undaunted, and then I actually have maxed out blacksmithing, clothing, woodworking, and enchanting on my characters.
God. Do the opposite of what he's doing.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying this. And then I have the necessary passives in each line for like the alchemy, so you get the bonuses. That's 256 skill points to do that. So you may have enough to get one other. Oh, and all the armor lines, that's all light armor, heavy armor, and medium armor. They're all maxed out with all passives and all that stuff. So the only thing I really don't have any skill points in are the Undaunted line, other than the passives. The PvP line, I have a couple, like you said, because I have 256 that you can play around with and move around. But other than that, if you do more than one, or like I did everything other than provisioning and alchemy on my main character, and that's at 256 skill points. And yeah, there's roughly 330 if you do everything in the game. But that's hard to do. So if you do multiple crafting, you're not going to have a lot to jump back and forth with weapon lines, because it takes, 22 or 24 points to max out a weapon line with all the passives and all the abilities. So
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. So if you do that, you're pretty much going to stick yourself to one role. Roughly.
And that's, you can do it, but not really effectively, because ultimately, when you're running groups, there's going to be times where people are going to ask you to do abilities that you thought weren't valuable at all. Like Thais, negate. Well, why would I use that? Here's why. Blah, 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 blah. Retreating maneuvers in the Alliance. That gives a huge speed boost to everyone. Sometimes in Trials, if you're trying to get a speed run, you need that. Sometimes in the Fighters Guild, you need Evil Hunter for extra damage. Sometimes you need a Necrotic Orb for magic dump. So there's a million things that you've probably never even thought of that are going to be very, very valuable towards the end game. I still try out Undaunted, like Bone Surge or whatever the stupid ability is, because I think I can find one little mechanic that I can maybe, exploit. I hate to say it like that, but sure. It's true. So, yeah, I think we answered every question.
Yeah, that was everything. Okay. But even with what you said, your Dragonknight has 280. My final build has 256 in it with all that, so it'd still leave, 24 points to play around with?
Yeah. I'm not a min-maxer.
Uh-huh.
And I have all of my crafts maxed with not every single skill line, but all the ones that are useful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I still have skill points left over. That's with maxing the passives that I need for my magic, for my magicka, and for my healing, and for my DPS.
In theory,
and including my skills.
You can, and they even said this, you can max out you can't max out every single skill in the game, but there's enough skill points that you could do almost all of them. Now, with that being said, the crafting ones are by far the most skill point intensive points. Like, each one is like 27 points to max out, whereas the other ones are like 22. They're really high.
And I have most of them. There's some of the passives and the skills are useless. I don't get them. Like, there's a couple in the provisioning ones that I don't touch. Yeah. But in all of my crafting, I have lots of points in all of them. And I still have enough points for all of my skills that I use every day, including negate. with skill points left over.
Yeah, but I could question you on some skills, and you probably won't have them. But it can be done. Here's the thing. If you're going to play this game like me for years to come, why not spend the time to level up an alt, give them 50 skill points, and let them go nuts on crafting? That way you can focus on your job, which is nuking people down as a DPS Templar. Spend the time, do it. If you're going to play this game for long term like I am, it's worth spending the time to do it right. We all know putting a band-aid on something isn't usually a good fix. You got to go in there, you got to spend the time, you got to do it right. Take it and do it. That's my advice.
Now that's not fair, because I'm going to play for years too, but I get dedicated to one character because that character is me in that game world, which means that my main character is my crafter, is my healer, is my DPS, and can do everything effectively.
Let me phrase this real quickly, just so that we all are aware. You can do it, but it takes it. Deltia, how long did it take you to get 280? It's a long time.
You're talking
to get
500 hours.
Yeah. So if you want to look at long-term goal, you could probably do it. I made a second character to. The reason why I have blacksmithing and all those because of the researches, because of all that, the provisioning and the alchemy. There's no research involved. I moved those to another character. That's why I moved those.
Yeah, but then you can't harvest in high-level areas.
Yeah,
because if all your points are going. Never mind.
Well,
Never mind. We play two completely different ways.
No, that's why I moved provisioning and alchemy off, because there is no level restriction for using it. Because you can gather the mats no matter where you're at.
Yeah, same with alchemy. Yeah, alchemy. Provisioning.
Yeah, alchemy and provisioning are the only two that do not require you to
Enchanting.
have skill points to use the materials, or to find the materials. I guess I should say. I guess you don't need for any of them.
Enchanting as well.
Yeah. So, but anyway, sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
Well, thanks for the question. It was a good one.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, guys, it's that time of the show again where it's our final thoughts. So, Thais, go ahead and tell us what your final thoughts for the show are and where people can find you.
It was a great show. I had a lot of fun reading that book. I'm glad you were able to think of that in the last minute, because that was a lot of fun. You can find me in game at Tear Eater, TearEater, and you can also find me on Twitter at TwitQueenThais.
Excellent. And Deltia, good sir.
It's a great show. Real quick, you can find me at deltiasgaming.com, at deltiasgaming on Twitter, deltiasgaming on YouTube. I'm really producing a lot of content right now. I think a lot of the YouTubers have moved on to different games. With the holiday season coming up, there's a lot of great games to choose from. This is my favorite. It really is. You can't beat the community, the developers. If you're coming back or thinking about it, you're waiting for it on PS4 or Xbox or whatever. I know there's delays, but some things in life are worth waiting. You know, you had to wait till you're 16 to drive your first car, or 18 some places. It's worth waiting. I love the game. This holiday season is going to be a really good one. So, say thanks to someone, because ultimately we should be thankful for what we have, and I'm thankful to be a part of this community.
All right. Excellent. Oh, excuse me. I have something in my throat. Wow. Anyway, I do want to thank both my co-hosts for joining me this evening. Love the show. Love it. Love doing it. I think we had a nice little, we'll just say, rant or argument over whether or not things were nerfed.
Discussion.
Friendly discussion over Nerf content, supposedly. Allegedly Nerf content. Yeah, and definitely had fun with our game time. I love the book. So I like the crows, so they were always fun. And I'm having fun playing all my characters, running around, messing around on my main. So whenever Thais gets on some weekend quests, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm just farming materials on them and motifs and selling that kind of stuff. And leveling up my Khajiit, which may or may not be my first VR14 at this rate.
It better not be.
I'm just saying, it might be. So yeah. And if you want to find me in game, that is at Aggelos, Aggelos. You can find me on Twitter for my personal Twitter. That's AGGELOS_WOF. So there you go. I do want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. If you wish to help support the podcast, feel free to donate via the PayPal link on our website or tell a friend about us. That is the best way. If you wish to contact contact us with questions, comments, criticisms. The website for the show is talesoftamriel.com. You can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com. Thais is mocking the way I say this. You can follow the show on Twitter at Tales of Tamriel, Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes. If you missed a live show or want to catch up on past broadcasts or any of our YouTube exclusive content, you can subscribe to us at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a good night, everybody.